Hi, I'm Erin Manning. I'm the owner and designer of LullaBelle Design. I do wedding invitations, so that's primarily what I use Dubsado for. But I do baby shower invitations, and I still do all of my proofing and invoicing through Dubsado. It's just not as heavy of a workflow. So I am married to Brett. We've been married for about 5 years. We have a 3-year-old son named Ollie and 2 Australian Shepherd puppies named Eevee and Lupin. I started invitation business kind of on accident. So I did my best friend's wedding invitations when we were in college. And she got married our senior year of college, right during finals week. And we were like, I think we can probably make these invitations ourselves and they'll be pretty. And, so we printed them in my dorm room and assembled them in an assembly line with her bridesmaids. And then I didn't do anything with it for a really long time until I got married. So she got married, 8 years ago now. So then I waited about 3 years before I made my next wedding invitation. And that was my own wedding invitation because, what bride doesn't also want to print, cut, and assemble her own invitations? So then I didn't do anything until about a year after that. I had 2 more friends approach me and they wanted invitations for their weddings. So I kind of did those the super old-fashioned way, and a few, probably 5 of my next clients were like, here's an email with your proofs. Send me another email on what you want. And here's a PDF of the contract that I use. Can you print it out, sign it, and scan it back to me? And so I started using Dubsado about 2 years ago, and it's been game-changing. So I have the contracts in there. I have my invoicing in there. I have all of my proofing is in there. I have subcontracts, and I do day of stationery, and I even get to send an anniversary email at the end. So everything is set up in a workflow, actually a few different workflows. So I'm going to kind of talk you through how a standard workflow looks for me, and feel free to take whatever you think is going to work for you. So when a client approaches me and they end up on my website, here's my website. So this is the home page. My Aussie is scratching at the gate because he wants to come join me. So this is my home page. They go to contact me. I have pretty much all of the information that they're going to get is in here. But the contact me is an embedded lead capture from Dubsado. So I built it in Dubsado. And then they just fill it all out. And then all of that information goes into Dubsado. And then from there, they get an email automatically from me. As soon as they hit this button, let's design my dream invitations, they get an email from me. And it basically says, thanks for inquiring. Here's some more information about what I do. It includes a link to the scheduler. So they get to schedule from that email. They can schedule a phone consultation, which is super quick phone consultation. Just kind of getting to know them and who they are as a couple. And it also has a link on my website to my client introduction packet, which really talks through all of the things that they can expect when they're working with me. So it has the package options, custom versus collection. And so this is all stuff that's kind of prompting them and getting them ready to think about if they want to schedule a consultation and then what we're going to talk about. But essentially it details their workflow. They just don't know that it's their workflow. So that is also included in that initial email. Once they click on the scheduler, they pick a day that works for them. The scheduler is actually linked through my Gmail calendar. So it, is set up through there. So if I have, a consult already on the books, through Dubsado, it adds it to my Gmail calendar and then it blocks off that time. And then I just have to be super proactive about updating my calendar, which, there's not a whole lot going on right now anyway. But then they can see the blocks of time that I'm available, and I just set my office hours, or I set that up through the scheduler. Like, okay, I'm available for phone consults, initial consults here, and you can decide what that looks like. But before they can click schedule, they have to fill out a form. So you can add that kind of stuff in here. They can, fill out a before phone consultation questionnaire, which really talks about what they're looking for a little bit more in depth than my lead capture. talks about colors and their engagement story. Some people don't feel comfortable putting that on a lead capture, and that's fine. But once they start to actively pursue me as a wedding vendor, then we get to know each other better there. So then we have our phone consultation, and it's super quick. Although we both tend to be chatty, we get talking about really random things, and ends up being probably 45 minutes. But after that, my workflow auto sends an in-person consultation scheduler. So we're not doing in-person consultations right now. So I asked them on the phone. I've been asking my clients to do it about a week out. So schedule a week out. That way I can send them invitation samples so that they have something to look and feel. And I usually send a few of the colors that they're interested in, or colors that go with their theme, things that I've been thinking about will look really nice. And before they can schedule that, so it's the same thing, they can, see what time works best for them. And then they fill out another consultation and questionnaire, and that talks about, who's coming with them. So am I going to meet their fiance? That way I'm prepared for who's at the meeting, so that it's not, 6 people. And I'm like, oh, I found a table for 3. Because I usually do my in-person consultations at hotel lobbies because it's free. And usually there's a bar. So then they fill that out. We have our in-person consultation. At the in-person consultation, I walk them through their proposal, and I'll show you what that looks like. But they fill it out on their own. So I just walk them through the process and what it looks like and get them comfortable with how they would fill it out so that they can do it themselves, because it comes in handy later for their day of stationery. So there's like 6 different categories. They have to fill out the design level, whether or not they want a custom design or a collection suite. They have the packages. They can just select that and then enter their amount that they want. And then they can click on the add-ons that they want, any printing upgrades, paper upgrades, and then any additional services that they want. And then I like to include a little office GIF at the end because it's a long form. And so if they made it to the end, they should get a high five. But the way I created this is really utilizing what Dubsado gave me in all of this over here. So these are just columns, and then this is a picture. So I just drag and drop this picture, and then I can change it with whatever I want here. And then this is a package. So these are all smart fields that I have set up. So I've changed the size and stuff. You can manipulate that here, but these are all smart fields. So it has the package name, invoice total, so what that looks like without tax. And then I have the select button. I have the X. So that's literally, I just typed X, and then it multiplies it by the quantity. And then the package items. So what that actually looks like here. So you can see all of the different pieces and parts there. Then to make it really easy, instead of going in and dragging a 2-column here and then uploading a new picture and all of that stuff, I just hit duplicate because it's so easy. So then I just swap out the picture that I need, and then I can change the actual package in here. So I don't have to go back in and do all of the formatting again. I can just change it here, and then it updates here, all of the information. And then these, not those, but these are also packages that I have on my back end. So I have the same thing. It's a quantity, smart fields, X, and then they get to update their quantity. And then also my paper upgrades are packages, and then so are all of these. So the first thing you want to do, in my opinion, is get your contract set up, but then also start thinking about how you can utilize packages. And it took me a really long time to get to this point, but since I have it, it's been such a time saver because now I'm not going in and automatically changing and creating these invoices for all of my clients. It's, what used to be a 30-minute process requires 0 minutes of my time because they fill it out on their own. So at the consultation, we walk through this. It automatically sends to them. So by the time they walk out of our consultation, they have this proposal in their email. They can go home and fill it out at their leisure. And from the proposal, because it's a proposal, it's attached to a invoice and a contract So here's the contract. That's how you can set it up. And then I applied a payment schedule. I don't allow them to apply discounts. And I have this set as it generates a new job. So on their end, if they have the proposal, they fill it all out, it auto-populates their invoice, which auto-populates their contract as well. So I'll kind of show you a current project. Here, I'll just do this one. This one's new. So there's their wedding contract, open. So I have smart fields in their contract, and it actually has their invoice information here and the payment schedule in there as well, and it's just a smart field. And then they sign, I sign. It's awesome. The invoice is here. They can choose to pay in full, or they can choose to pay whatever the payment schedule is. So for my invitations, it's a 50% deposit. And then for my day of stationery, it's a little bit different. But so I have 2 different payment schedule plans, and I just apply them accordingly. So here's someone who hasn't, paid in full yet. I'll show you what their invoice looks like. Maybe. So this is what it looks like on their end. They paid half. See, all of that just looks like that. And then after they fill it out, I actually go back in myself and I just update the colors that we've talked about based on their lookbook. So here you can see that they have this much left, and then they can pay now. So they click pay now, or they can pay the remainder of it all down there. So after they do that, then I generate a lookbook for them right after our consultation. So I don't talk a ton about design on our phone consultation. That's really what I use the in-person consultation for. So I create a lookbook for them, and that kind of, shows them what I'm thinking of and makes sure that we're on the same page. So I send that to them pretty much right after our consultation, especially so that I don't lose any information between, our consultation and the drive home or whatever. So this is what that looks like. I'll show you there. Lookbook is here. So it has the different things that we talked about, the kind of color palette that they're looking for. This is stuff that I take from our conversations. So I frequently ask them to describe what they want their wedding to look like, what they want their wedding to feel like, what they want their guests to feel as they're walking in and as they get their invitations, and then really simple sketches with information about what they're looking for. So they wanted a magnet save the date. We wanted the script as the save the date. Everything else in a super simple to read font. Then their invitation suite and what that looks like all put together. So it's nothing fancy, but it will translate really well into the proof. And if they had any notes or comments about what they wanted to change, they could add that here. So that's a little fun tidbit. So that gets uploaded into their portal. Once they have filled out their proposal, paid the invoice inside the contract, then it triggers a to-do for me. So then I activate their portal with a password. So I set a password for them, and then when they have everything done, it sends them an email, says, welcome to your portal. Here's what you need to know about it. Here's how you access your forms. And then it's a smart field of here's your password. Then it also automatically triggers it to move it from a lead. So it moves it from here over into my jobs category, which is really nice. I don't have to remember. I'm like, I have 8 leads. Oh no, 4 of those are jobs. So I don't have to automatically do that. That's just me being lazy. So it automatically converts it to a job, and then it also will trigger the next workflow. So that looks like the current client workflow. So this was all a lead capture workflow, and then it translates into a current client workflow, which really is me automatically adding all of the forms that they need. So it automatically adds their invitation details form, their guest list upload. It automatically adds their proof forms, but nothing that they can see yet. Then I apply it to their portal. So I'll show you what that looks like here on this end. There's a new one. Going back to this one. So this is all the stuff that they filled. Here's the guest list upload. Here's the invitation details form that gets added. It also, so when they sign, it also triggers a to-do for me to create their stationery timeline. And that looks like this. So this is all just code. I found it on a website. I was like, timeline for code for timeline. So it has the year and then super easy to read dates. And then it jumps, we're working into March of next year. So 2021 has all of the invitation dates, stuff like that, all the way to the wedding. So that's really nice to have. I also have custom mapped project fields that I have implemented into emails. So this you can do in your settings, and it's all the way over here. And I have it applied to the projects. So these are just dates that are really handy for the clients to know, and it never hurts to, really drive that message home, especially with clients who like to dawdle and aren't as type A as me. So I have when the invitation form is due. So that's, when they need to get their wording to me by, and all of the, rehearsal information and stuff like that. And then when they're going to get the proofs from me, the okay to print, mailing date, their wedding date, and then I also just added save the date stuff because I've been doing a lot of save the dates and change the dates. So those get added to the projects. And then I have to manually go in and change them and update them for each client, but they're all right here. Just going to refresh. So then it should add the save the dates. So we just did their save the dates, but I sent them their proofs this day. We're going to send them to print. We sent them to print that day, and then we're going to mail them on the 3rd. So I just add that. And then when I send them an email, so like when I sent her proofs, her save the date proofs, I have an auto saved reply for my proofs. Excuse me. So you can see what it says there. It has my policy on revisions, and then here's our major deadlines. And that I just made in my canned emails over here. So I just input a smart field. So let's say I wanted the save the date proofs to client. And I make that bold. And then I use the smart field, and it's over here in client. Where is it? Right here, under project, duh. So then it just automatically fills that in based on what I have. Silly me. There. So you can see how that looks. Super nice, make it not bold so that it stands out. And that I have implemented on almost all of my emails to the clients that go out through Dubsado, just so that they always have those dates in the back of their mind, because not everybody looks at their calendar all the time. And it just kind of is a gentle reminder and not a super pushy way of being like, okay, we need to stay on track here. Otherwise you may not get your stuff in time. So then after the timeline is done, they fill out their invitation details form, which looks like this. It's all of their information, the names, how they want their names on their invitation, where the ceremony and reception is, the wording that they want, RSVP information, any enclosure cards on the first one, what that accommodation information is, and then, they should pour themselves a drink because that's a pretty lengthy form as well. But once we get that, then I do the proofs, and I do my proofing all through here as well. So I'll show you a proof layout here because we are already done with all of our proofs. So here they filled out their details. Here's their initial proofs. Looks like this. So I have this as a smart field, and it just kind of personalizes the form. They probably know that it's not, me going in and typing their name, but it just personalizes it a little bit more and brings your business to the next level, I think. So this is their invitation. This is really just a header, and then I include notes on what it's going to look like, and then a picture of their form, or a picture of their invitation, and then they can fill out the notes and revisions there. Same thing with the RSVP card and the details card. And then the fun thing, I create a layout for them of what everything looks like, and then all of the job details. So this is a navy pocket enclosure with whiting Chicago skyline. So this is a custom printed pocket enclosure, champagne gold invitation or envelope liner, and matte white outer envelopes. We're doing the upgrade calligraphy package. So I have a calligrapher that I work with. She does the names and calligraphy. I digitally address the addresses and the return address. And then the return envelopes are in champagne gold, so you can see that there. This is a letterpress invitation. And then the other two are flat printing in navy so that it matches. So then they give their revisions. We go through the first round of revisions, and they get 3 rounds of revisions in their contract, and then it's additional fees. And then for the final proofs, I do something with a subcontract, and it's just a checklist. So let's see. I'll show you what that looks like. It basically goes through all of the spelling. It's really walking them through it and holding their hand, but it's really going to save your butt in the long run. So this is the final design proof. It looks like this. They go through, here's the job details again, here's their names. They have to fill out their address where the invitations are getting sent to after this. I include their wedding photographer so that I can send their photographer an invitation ahead of time, and they don't have to worry about bringing it with for flat lays and styling for the wedding. So it's the same thing. It looks exactly the same. So here's their invitation, but there's a checklist at the bottom. Our names are spelled correctly, the wedding date is correct, the time is correct, the venue name, the address, and the spelling and grammar is correct throughout. So they have to physically go in and check mark all of these on each insert to make sure that nothing is spelled wrong, that everything looks and sounds okay. And then at the very end, I just pull this in, same as their invoice. It's a smart field. It includes all of their invoice details and then some additional job information, the quantity, any custom postage, any additions that is not included on here. And then they can say, okay, it's ready for printing, okay with the following corrections, but I don't need another proof, and then corrections required and a send to new proof. So they changed that, and then they signed it, and then we're good to go. So that releases, that's a print release that they give to me, but it's just set up as a subcontract. So after they do that, we're kind of on the assembly workflow. That's where my mind is working. So I'm not even thinking about day of stationery. I'm thinking about getting their invitations assembled and out the door back to them. So it will automatically, my workflow automatically sends them a proposal for any day of stationery, because I don't handle that at the same time. So that invoice looks a little different, but because I walked them through the initial proposal form, they can fill this out without any issues. So this looks almost identical to the day of stationery, or it looks identical to the 2020 proposal, but it's day of stationery. So it has their name, their phone number, the wedding date all filled in. Gives them the programs that I offer, place cards, escort cards, what the difference is, the type of menus that I offer, and then signage, small signage, large signage. And then it works the same way. So they just select that. They can select this. They can input the quantity. And then, if they have something that is not included on here, they can list it here. Or they can click no day of stationery and fill out the form, and then I just leave them alone and begin the offboarding process. So that will automatically populate into the invoice. It has a separate payment schedule, and that is they pay 50% upfront when they fill out the form, and then the remainder is 3 weeks out, which is right before we go to print. And then another subcontract that I use for my clients is the mailing agreement. So I bought that through Biz Birthday Bash. It's been super nice. Haven't changed a whole lot. I don't do a lot of, I think there was one thing in there that I don't have, and it was about vintage postage, and I just don't do that. So they sign that. It basically states, like, I don't work for USPS, and I'm sorry if your invitation got lost, but it's not on me. Sorry. So then if they have selected any day of stationery, it automatically triggers the day of stationery workflow, which is really just applying the wording form to their invoice or to their portal. And then they can fill that out, and any reminders about, hey, you need to fill this out. And it also applies the proof forms to their portal. And then my last workflow for all of my clients is a review workflow. And that's 3 weeks after their event date. I ask them for a review with a canned email. It's like, hey, you can review me here, or here, or here, or all three. So I have that sent out 3 weeks after their wedding, gives them a little time to decompress, hopefully come back from their honeymoon. And then if they don't fill out the review, I manually approve another email to be sent at 4 weeks. And then if they still don't fill out any reviews, then I just leave them alone. And then at the very end, I send them a happy anniversary 1 year later on their wedding date. And I think that's just something like we forget about because we're working on our new clients, but it just really means a lot to them. Like, oh, I'm so glad I worked with them because they're thinking about me even a year later. So it's a really nice way to still be thinking about your past clients and building that relationship, because those become referrals. And it's just really nice to have that option for your past clients. So I'll kind of talk about a couple of my canned emails, show you what that looks like. So here's your first revision email. And then I'll show you where those smart fields are. So it says the OK to print. It doesn't have the when your proofs are there because we've already done the proofing process, so I removed that. But there's that job mapped field in a smart link. And that's really nice to have. What else? Oh, so one thing I've been doing just to get all of my clients in the same place is a Pinterest collection proposal. So this is for my semi-custom collection, and I just have it set up pretty similar to what my 2020 proposal is, except it's more like an order form. So they don't get nearly as many options. It also includes this little testimonial slider, which is a lot of fun. And then how to tell if the collection is right for you. They pick their suite. You can, they'll click this link right here and it takes them to a page on my website. They can view all the collection suites there, full size, but then they can check which one they want. They don't have the package options that I give my clients that I have, all the consultations with. They really just get this, and then they add their embellishments here and envelope addressing and assembly and mailing. And then they fill it all out and it comes in as a new job. And then I can automatically add, their invitation details. So then it would kind of be the same workflow, but it starts a little bit differently. It doesn't start with a lead capture. And then I just attach that. I make my own pins for my collection suite. I'll show you what that looks like. So I have a board specifically for my collection. I make a pin. I just have it, that's what the pin looks like, but then the link that I have attached to it is the link to the Dubsado proposal form. So that's where all of that is. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is just another sub-agreement that's kind of come in handy, is the change of date contract amendment. And that just, I've had a lot of clients who have postponed, but it states that the original contract is the same as before. I'm not changing any other prices on them. Anything they've paid still applies, but that the date has changed. And then it also includes, you know, the date that we entered into the contract. They sign, we sign. Super easy. I'm going to give you my code, which is just my business name, LullaBelle Design, all one thing. So that gives you 20% off any Dubsado package, whether you're doing month to month. So it'll give you 20% off your first month or 20% off your first year if you decide to do that, in addition to the sale price. So that's, you know, a huge savings. And it's really, 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 really going to help your business and make you seem super professional, and how you treat all of your clients equal. And you're not, you know, losing things in the wayside, like, oh man, I forgot to send them their proofs. It's all right here. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. I'm going to try and jump in on whenever this goes live next week on the 29th, which is today for you guys. So I'm going to try and jump in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, you can send me an email. I'm super reachable and happy to answer any questions, because I absolutely love using Dubsado. I think it's just a wonderful way to keep track of all of the things. The only thing that I don't super use, and I'm trying to get better at, it's me. It's not the system. It's just me, is the chart of accounts and making sure that I include anything that I spend money on. So right now you'll see, like, you see the income, but I'm not very good at keeping track of my expenses in Dubsado. But you totally can. You just go in through invoice, and then you, under expenses, it's right here. You just add an expense, and you're like, okay, I spent $130 or $125.40, and I used my credit card on this day, and this is what I bought. I bought envelopes. Gosh, those are expensive envelopes. And then it applies it to the project, and then I have all of these expense categories. So I would just include it in invitation cost of goods, and then I add it. And then it essentially tells me what my net profit is after I reload. So there it all is. So then you can kind of see what your net profit is, and then you'll be able to see that in your chart of accounts. So that's really nice to have. I use it when I think about it. And then at the end of the year, I'm always like, oh man, I got to go back and do 6 months of accounting. So don't be like me. Just keep track of it as you go. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. I hope I didn't ramble too much, and I hope it wasn't too fast for you. But if you have any questions, please reach out. I would love to answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much again. Bye.